Hey y'all, so today I'm going to show you how to make this blanket using the Bernat blanket yarn. It is called the brick blanket. It kind of reminds me of a waffle stitch blanket. Now this is not my pattern. I actually got it from, I think, Crochet Crowd. I'm not sure, but I'll put the information in the description box. Now let me just tell you really quickly. This is a very airy blanket. The pattern makes it to be very loose, and while I created this pattern of created this blanket a long time ago, it's not my favorite, guys, but I think the pattern is so neat that if you do it on a smaller scale and maybe line the back, you will really enjoy it. Okay, so I'm going to start this blanket by using a 10mm crochet hook and some Bernat blanket yarn. Now it's going to be very helpful if you already know how to do a double crochet stitch and a front post stitch, but I will show you how to do that in this video, but it's helpful if you already know how to do it. Okay, so go ahead and start by making yourself a slip knot and placing that on your crochet hook. Okay, now I will give you tips and tricks throughout the video. This is just to show you how to do the pattern. So you will have to pay attention a little bit in the beginning, but once you get to about the 4th row or so, it just works up so simple and so easy. So you want to start by making yourself a foundation chain in multiples of 4. Okay, so 4, 8, 16, like that. It needs to be be able to be divided by 4, and then once you get the desired length of your project, then you want to add an additional 2 stitches at the very beginning. So you're going to do a foundation chain in a multiple 4 plus 2. 1 and 2. So that was my plus 2 I wanted to show you. Now this is what it will look like here. Alright, now you're going to skip over into the 2nd stitch and you're going to create a single crochet stitch. So into the 2nd stitch, you're going to do a single crochet stitch, and then you're going to do a chain of 4. Now, this is how your pattern is going. This is the foundation of your pattern, but this isn't the repeater rows, okay? So then you're going to count over and into the 4th stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Into that 4th stitch, you're going to do another single crochet stitch. And I don't know if I mentioned it, I'm using a 10mm crochet hook for this project. Then once you have your single crochet stitch, you're going to do a chain of 4. Okay. Count over again till you get to your 4th stitch, and you're going to do another single crochet stitch. Now this excuse me, guys. This is the beginning of your 1st row. You're going to continue doing this until you get to the end, and I'll stay on camera with you so you can kind of get this down. Single crochet, chain of 4. 4. Okay. Then you're going to count over. Don't count the one where you put the chain of 4. You're going to skip that one, count the next one over. Okay. Now I found that if, say, you're making a larger blanket and say you get to the end and you don't have 4 stitches left and maybe you only have 3, just keep going. It's not going to throw off this project if you have, if you don't count exactly right or you miscount somewhere. All right, and this is what it should be looking like. So you have these large loops here. And so continue working until you get to the end of your 1st row, or to the end of your chain. Okay. All right, and if you want to go ahead and pause the video here, you can, and I'll show you where we are. All right, here at the very end here, now say, like I said, if you didn't have 4, it's okay. Just make sure you put the stitch into the last space, the single crochet stitch in the last space, okay? All right, now what you're going to do is do a chain of 3 and then turn your work. All right, now let's see, for row 2, the way this works is you're going in that big space there, you're going to do 3 double crochet stitches. So you have your chain of 3, which counts as your first double crochet stitch, and then you're going to make 3 double crochet stitches into that large loop. And we're not at a repeater row yet, guys. This is just setting up the pattern so that we can do the repeater rows. Alright, now that you have your 3, that's your cluster of 3 together inside that loop, in that single crochet space that we created, you're going to do another double crochet stitch. So essentially, you're going to do double crochet stitches this entire row, okay? So you're going to do 3 into the big space, and then you're going to do 1 in the single crochet space. So just continue doing that. Alright. So into that large loop area, you're going to create 3 double crochet stitches. Alright. And into that single crochet space, you're going to do another double crochet stitch. So go ahead and pause the video and continue working down the row. Alright, now when you get here to the end, you should have clusters of 3 and then 1 in your single crochet stitch. In that very last stitch, you're going to want to make sure you do another double crochet stitch. Alright, I lost some of my footage a little bit, guys, so I had to insert something in here. Sorry for the background change. It's the same project. Okay, so we're here at the end. You're going to chain 1 and then turn your work. And that very first space there, see right there, you're going to do, excuse me, another single crochet stitch. Actually, you're going to do a single crochet stitch, and then you're going to do a chain of 4. Alright. Basically, you're going to be skipping over those cluster of 3, and you're going to do another single crochet stitch. Alright. Chain 4. Alright. Skip over that cluster of 3. Into the single crochet stitch, you're going to do another single crochet, and then you're going to chain 4. Right, 4. And then you're going to continue doing this all the way across, skipping over the cluster of 3, and then in the single crochet stitch, you're going to do a single crochet stitch and then a chain of 4. So this is what it's looking like. Okay, and then when you get to the end there, so you're doing this all the way across, when you get to the end here, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to chain 3, and then you're going to turn your work. Okay, now this row here, row 4, is where we're going to start our pattern. Okay, so you're going to start by doing a chain, you'll have your turning chain, which counts as your first double crochet stitch. Then you're going to do 3 double crochet stitches, just like we did before, into that space. That's what I'm creating here now. I've done 2, and I'm going to do 1 more. Okay, now once you get to that single crochet space where we've done before, we went all the way across, we are going to now do a front post stitch. Now this is not hard, you all. If you look here at the project, you have the row that you're working on, and you have a row underneath it. Okay, you're going to look at the row underneath, so you see the cluster of 3 there. That double crochet stitch that's in that single crochet space, that may be harder to explain than see, you're going to drop down and do a front post stitch behind that. Now this is not difficult. Just look at your work, the row you're working on, you're going to go down to the row below it. There you're going to insert the crochet hook behind the post, pushing it up. See how it looks there? And then continue doing a double crochet stitch. So just give it a little tug so you have good tension, and then doing a double crochet stitch. And that's a front post stitch. Now that's not a hard stitch, you just have to find it, and I tell you, once you get it, you're going to be good, you're going to be golden. So that's what it's going to start looking like. That's going to create that bridge, that's going to create the brick look. Next space, you're going to continue doing your 3 double crochet stitches. So get your 3. Once you have 3 completed, you're going to do just like what we did before. See how there's the row you're working on and the row underneath it. You're going to find that, so you have the 3 clusters and then you have that stitch right next to those clusters. That's in your single crochet space. You're going to go behind that post. See, just like that. Yarn over, pull back through, and then continue doing your double crochet stitch. This is what you call a front post stitch. And I think in the other video, the tutorial that I saw, he called an extended front post stitch. Yeah, okay. It's a front post stitch. Go ahead and do your 3 double crochet stitches. And then again, you'll just identify the post from the row below it, and you'll continue doing your front post. So 3 double crochet and then a front post, 3 and then a front post. Okay, once you get to the end here, you're just going to end that row with a double crochet stitch. Now this is the start of your pattern, so remember, row 4 is going to repeat. We're going to do row 5, which is, again, you're going to chain 1, turn your work, then you're going to do a sorry guys, you're going to do a single crochet stitch, and then you're going to do a chain of 4, okay, and into that single crochet stitch, you can kind of see it. You have 3 double crochet stitches. In the next space, you're going to do a single crochet stitch. Trying to zoom in, it's kind of hard to see with this puffy yarn, but you're going to count over 3 double crochet stitches, and into that single crochet stitch, that's where you're going to do your single crochet, and then you're going to do a chain of 4, skipping over the 3 double crochet stitches. Into that single crochet stitch, you're going to do a single crochet and then a chain of 4. And I hope this screen shows you better than maybe what I'm saying. Okay, continue working that all the way down. A single crochet stitch followed by a chain of 4. We're creating those those spaces, that large space that we're going to be working into. That's what we're creating in row 5. Okay, so this is what it should be looking like. Okay, and you'll just continue doing that until you get to the end. When you get to the very end of row 5, just like before, you're going to do a single crochet stitch into that last space. You're going to do a chain of 3 and then turn your work. Now the chain of 3, and I think I did the chain of 3 on this side, that's okay. The chain of 3, remember, that counts as your first double crochet stitch. So in that large space there, you're going to do 3 double crochet stitches, and then we're going to start the front post. Now remember, this is just the repeater row of row 4. So row 4 and 5 are your repeater rows through the rest of the entire project. Okay, so you have your 3 there, and then you're going to go down to your next row and get your front post stitch. So as you can see here, the row right below the row you're working on, you can identify the post. That's just the double crochet stitch, guys. Yarn over, insert your crochet hook behind that, kind of pushing it forward. Yarn over, pull back through, and then you're just going to continue doing your double crochet stitch. Complete doing this across this row. Alright, so you're doing your cluster of 3 double crochet stitches in that space. Once you get, this is actually fun, honestly. I enjoyed doing this project. It just was so massive and so gapey because it got so big that I said if I ever taught this to you all or shared it with you, I want it to be clear that this one really probably would, for me, it would do better in a smaller blanket. It's just so, the bricks allow it to be really airy, and I don't know, I don't like gaping holes in my blankets for me personally, which is why I really don't get into the granny square blanket as much. But I'm going to create this one in a smaller size, in a baby blanket size, and I guess you can kind of see that liner there on the table below me. I'm going to line this blanket, so I'll show you that in another video, hopefully. Right, so this is what it should look like, guys. Pretty much this is the tutorial. I hope it makes sense. So just remember that row 4 and 5 are your repeater rows. You're going to have to do 3 rows before you can get to your repeater rows, and you're just going to continue doing that. And this is what it looks like from the front. Okay, and then this is the back here. And remember, this here is just the brown blanket that I showed you in the beginning. Just white blanket is just a different size. Okay, so this is it, guys. If you have any questions, please be sure to leave them down in the comment section down below, and I will see you all in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.